In other news, farmers are this evening warning of an impending poor crop yield with not only dire consequences for Ghana's economy, but will also worsen the already existing food supply deficit and further burden the import bill of the state. Now, this will affect the balance of payments and the wobbly stability of the cedi. This is, they say, is due to the shortage of subsidized fertilizer that has hit parts of the country, contrary to the disclosure by the Sector Minister, Dr. Owusu-Efiri-Akoto, on the floor of Parliament that the fertilizer distribution in the northern sector has improved. Farmers say that is not the case. Listen to the Minister's announcement in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Finance has released funds for the payment of 2020 arrears owed the fertilizer companies. From May to July 2021, a total amount of 260,432,490 cedis, 94 pesos, has been released to pay the companies. The release comprises an amount of 186,631,445 cedis, 445 cedis. Actual payments made to the companies this far from the amount of 73.8 million, while it's being processed by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture through the gift mix system. These payments represent 44% of the total debt of 587,876,784 cedis owed all the fertilizer companies that supplied fertilizer to farmers under the 2020 Planting for Food and Jobs campaign. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry has approved an upward adjustment of the prices of the Planting for Food and Job fertilizer for 2021 to cushion the fertilizer companies on account of the increased world market prices due to the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on commodities on the international markets. The adjustment will enable the fertilizer companies import and distribute fertilizers for 2021 planting seasons. The Ministry has organized an emergency meeting with the fertilizer companies to discuss fertilizer shortages and its adverse effect on food security. Monitoring of the availability and distribution of fertilizer to farmers have been improved significantly in the regions since. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, that's not all. President Akufo-Addo, during his tour of the northern region over the weekend, told Iyana Abubakar Mahama in Yendi that government is aware of the challenge and is working to fix it.
I'm aware of the difficulties we've had recently about the supply of fertilizers to our farmers. But believe me, that is now over, and very soon the farmers here and across the country will be accessing the subsidized fertilizer like they did during my first term. I was very impressed about your involvement in the Green Ghana initiative. I was very happy when I heard that you yourself had taken a stand on the Green Ghana initiative. It is something that we should all pay attention you have in Dabor is being mobilized for the development of the state. The banker, the very distinguished, eminent banker who chaired the exercise and who I have no doubt is one of the principal authors of this document, is in itself a testimony of the work you're doing to bring Dabor's sons and daughters together for the development of the state. It is a big credit to you and most commendable initiative. And you can be sure that whatever assistance government can bring to make sure that the lion coming out of the dark ends up as the lion in the light.
But days after that, farmers say the situation is yet to improve. Boso South NP Dr. Clement Park says the shortage should be treated as a national security emergency.
The current shortage of subsidized fertilizer in the Boso South and similar communities has very dire and grave consequences for the well-being and sustenance of the people who depend on agriculture. Contrary to claims by the Minister for Agric that monies had been released to fertilizer suppliers and that meetings had been held which have enhanced and improved distribution of fertilizer to northern parts of this country, I can say on authority that the people of Boso South are yet to get even one bag of subsidized fertilizer 2 months into this year's cropping season. The sooner government pays attention to this issue, the better for us all, because the implications and the consequences will not be borne by the people of Boso South and similar districts alone, but the entire nation.
Let's do a quick check on the ground to find out what the situation is. My colleagues in the region join us. Let's start with Isaac Nonya from the Savannah region. Isaac, how is the situation of fertilizer in that region like as we speak?
Ernest, the situation here is a bit murky and difficult. Listening to farmers from all the 7 districts in the region, it appears the product is not available. And we're trying to find out whether they saw some and then the prices were something they could not bear or not, or they also suspect smuggling. They said that this is the situation, you can't even see the product with your naked eye, talking about smuggling. So obviously, looking at farmers, those who are into maize cropping, at this point of time, if the product if it comes into the system, the time has passed to apply fertilizer for arrangement. If you also look at those who are into rice cropping and other cross cropping, it happens that the product, unless one travels over to another region, Tambale, you can't easily have it over here, though we now have a stand as a separate region from the den of the region. It's difficult to have the product here in the system. You can only locate 1 or 2 input dealers or accredited suppliers in the capital. And for them to, if they're able to supply 2-3 peasant farmers, no commercial farmer can access subsidized fertilizer here in the region, unless the person crosses over to another region, where in the way they can find a way through some of the dealers to have it. But in that Savannah region, there's no subsidized fertilizer. If it's there, you can't have access to it.
So what have the farmers been telling you will be the impact of this on their investments in the farms?
Obviously, farmer has done, let's say, 200 to 200 acres of maize. And as of now, he cannot get 20 or 50, talking about even 10, meaning the crops will not yield well. And then all the inputs or the investment he has put in place will go wasted. Because at the time, let's say somewhere June, July, was the time they needed fertilizer to apply in their farm.
Seem to be having some challenge there with the connection with Isaac Nonya from the Savannah region. My colleague, let's move to another region to do an update there. Let's go to Ilyasu Tanko, who joins us from the Northeast region. Ilyasu, what is the situation in the region? Are there enough fertilizers or not?
Well, I've been speaking with farmers in the region, speaking with some dealers as well. And what I've gathered is that farmers are currently desperately waiting for the subsidized fertilizer to be in for them to salvage their perishing crops. So I can say that the subsidized fertilizer is not available in the region. The farmers tell me that they received the first consignment somewhere in May. And since then, they have been waiting for arrival of another consignment, but to no avail. And so as we speak right now, they are waiting for the government to make available this subsidized fertilizer. so that they can buy.
We are hearing reports of smuggling of fertilizer, from some regions. I don't know what the situation pertains in your community, especially the border communities. What have you found as far as the issue of smuggling is concerned?
Well, I traveled to some of the border communities in the Bunkurugu, Nakpanduri district, and I spoke with farmers in that particular area. What I found is that the fertilizer is really not available. A few that is available, but it's not sold at the subsidized price. It's sold at normal price. And the dealers tell me that these are fertilizers they themselves went to Techiman to procure. And so it's not for so that is why they are selling it at that price. And so that is currently the situation. I travel even up to Togo. I spoke with some Togolese, and they claim that the Togolese farmers smuggle the fertilizers. It's just really not available in the region.
Ilyasu, we're grateful for bringing us this update. That's our correspondent in the Northeast region. Earlier you heard Isaac Nonya from the Savannah region. Let's bring in the head of programs and advocacy for the Ghana Peasant Farmers Association. Thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. Do we have shortage of subsidized fertilizer as an association? What have you observed? What is your report on this?
Thank you. Good evening. Let me say good evening to the rest of your panelists and the listeners. I think your reporters hit the nail right on the head. The shortage of subsidized fertilizer across all the regions in northern Ghana and even in Guanghalf region. Okay. I overheard somebody talked about smuggling. For we have the monetary fertilizer movement, and if anybody should attribute the shortage to smuggling, I don't think the person is on the ground. The fertilizer that is coming is in limited quantities. I brought a number of trucks of fertilizer to my family, the smallholder farmers, to bring it, and all the fertilizer will be removed from the car. You don't even remove it into the shop, and everything gets it. Now, the problem we are facing is that this is the peak of fertilizer application, and some crops are being overgrown past the time of first application. So others are now expecting to get the urea for second application. And as we speak, there's no company that has supplied urea. I've spoken to all the companies, and none of them have urea in the system. Now, the minister updated Parliament that money has been released for payments of companies, and that fertilizer will be distributed. Look, the truth of the matter is that majority of the companies don't even have fertilizer in Ghana.
I see.
It's about 4 to 5 companies that manage to bring fertilizer into the country. I have spoken to most of them.
And what is accounting for this? Why don't they have fertilizers in stock?
You see, at the beginning, most of them were saying that they were expecting money that government owns them so the government will pay them to use to import the fertilizer. And those monies were not coming. So since the monies were not coming, fertilizer prices at the real level is also keep increasing. So now they cannot even import the fertilizer. So there are very few companies that manage to bring fertilizer into the country.
You are warning of dark consequences for the nation, especially in the aspect of food security. Will an emergency provision avert this, food security issue that you raise, or shortage?
Sure. Just those few companies that I talked about. There are some small fertilizer they are selling at the open market. So if government can put in immediate money and direct them that they should stop selling all what they have in the open market price, and that government will buy it and then subsidize for the farmers, I think that will still do something, because many farmers are now abandoning part of their farm because they won't get fertilizer to apply all. So that the small money that they have, they will use that one to buy the open market and manage with a few of their farm.
And so it is not too late at all?
Pardon?
It is not too late for an intervention?
Yeah, if we are able to get intervention within this week and next week, I think we will still be able to turn events. But if that doesn't happen by the end of July, most of the crops might not need a fertilizer again.
So within the next 2 weeks, government must intervene, otherwise we are headed for some form of a crisis?
Yeah, you know, when it comes to northern Ghana, which is now becoming the food basket of this nation, most of the lands are infertile. So once you don't apply fertilizer, they used to be very poor. So if government doesn't do anything from now to next week, I don't think our food security situation will look good in 2022.
Meantime, what is your association doing in order to help your members whilst you wait on government?
So what we've done so far, we have been able to actually negotiate with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and also negotiate with some of the steel companies. AMD, for one, is heavily applying some fertilizer for us to give to women farmers and smallholder farmers. But that alone is not enough. So that's what we are doing. We have also procured some of the open market fertilizer, and we are giving to some of our members of credit. But that still is not enough, because how far can we go? So we are still in talk with the government, and we are hoping that they will do something urgently to ensure that we have enough fertilizer for majority of the farmers who need it.
Thank you very much. That's Charles Inyaba, Head of Advocacy for the Peasant Farmers Association. Now, the Deputy Agric Minister in charge of crops, Yao Frimpong Ado, joins us on phone. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. You have heard from the Peasant Farmers Association. Our reporters have been on the ground. They're telling us what the situation is. Clearly, there is a challenge. What are you doing about it?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I must say that this is about the fourth time I'm speaking about this fertilizer issue today. Only today. It's about the fourth time, and it's really getting a bit too much on us, because we have explained the situation, and under no circumstance would anybody from the ministry stand anywhere to deny the fact that the challenge of shortage of fertilizer. And it's not the doing of the ministry nor the doing of the government, but circumstances that have got the whole world have resulted in kind of situation that we find ourselves. The suppliers of the fertilizers themselves, they know.
Mr. Ado, you are saying that the delays in the payment of the suppliers is as a result of COVID-19?
Yeah, they know very well that since 2017 that they've been in partnership with the ministry to supply fertilizers. They always supply upfront, and then the government pays later. What they supplied in 2020, we're supposed to pay this year. And we all know what has happened to government revenue mobilization efforts. We all know. It's not only
Mr. Ado, are you saying that you don't owe farmers for 2019?
2019? No, I'm not aware of that. What I know of, well, there may be some arrears from 2019, but at least I know that 2020 they made some payment. So it's possible. I will not deny the fact that some of them may be owed from 2019. Yes, I mean, no doubt about that. But you know, as I indicated, because we pay upfront, I wouldn't be surprised that in 2019, because we were paying in 2020, and we know what happened in 2020, and the spillover to 2021, that has caused all these problems.
But first of all, this must have been budgeted for. If it wasn't, COVID-19, government provided funds for COVID-19 relief. The Agric Ministry, I believe, enjoyed part of the World Bank facility that was provided. And so why was this not provided for?
Hello, for fertilizers? Are you talking about?
No, I am saying the ministry received some monies. If this was a priority, you should have made some allocation for it.
You know, hold on. There is an arrangement to pay these farmers. And those reliefs that you're talking about were for different purposes. So if we have an arrangement to pay you through this channel, and some people are also getting some relief through some other channels, it will not be too proper to divert those funds to come and pay.
Well, Mr. Ado, the situation is that there's a challenge now. The farmers are warning that if in 2 weeks government does not intervene, we could have a crisis on our hand. There will be massive food shortage.
First of all, I'm even surprised my brother was speaking this week. Because my brother has had continuous dialogue with the ministry. Continuous dialogue with the ministry, and he knows every step that the ministry is taking. And as I speak with you right now, in fact, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, truckloads of fertilizers have been leaving the Tema Harbor to send fertilizers up north, because this is the time that they need it most. And as he rightly said, in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time, if they don't get it, then we better forget it. And government is also conscious, very conscious of this fact.
Okay, and so you are moving fertilizers, to the northern regions.
Yeah, but I can assure you, even now, because I knew I was going to talk to you, I spoke with the director in charge of crops, he's in charge of this fertilizer thing, and he said, look, the situation has improved significantly compared to about 3 weeks, a month ago, when people were queuing and it was so chaotic.
Okay.
The situation has improved significantly.
So can you give us the assurance that by close of week, farmers would have fertilizers in their farms and they can apply it on their crops?
That one I can assure you. They may not get it at the levels that they used to get, but at least they will get fertilizers that will ensure that their farms, the yields that they get from their farms, they will get those. That is what the assurance that my director of crops gave me, to the extent that
sure.
They have prepared themselves with 101,000 metric tons that are coming for the second cropping season for the middle belt and the part of the southern sector. And that one will be ready. But at the moment, as we speak, the most important place that we need to focus our attention on is the northern sector.
Very well.
The 5 regions. And as my technical director tells me, that the situation has improved significantly. And maybe, just maybe, we may have to go over there and confirm this ourselves.
We will definitely follow up on this, Mr. Ado. We are grateful for your time. We ran out of time on this one, but thank you very much for joining us. That's the Deputy Minister in charge of Agric, Mr. Ado, joining us here on Joining Us.